all over me about that. I just knew it. I was
couldn't pass up.
Couldn't pass it up. I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, talking sports, I think Chuck Grassley teed off on Admiral Franken last night. But that's all you have to say about that, I guess.
I didn't watch it. I was busy watching that intriguing Thursday night NFL football game.
That was one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life.
Horrible game.
Just terrible. And they had a couple of pretty good quarterbacks. First of all, I didn't know Matt Ryan had left the Falcons and is now with Indianapolis. And he's still.
If that guy can walk today, I'd be amazed. I've never seen a quarterback get beat up so much.
I know that he had a heck of a whirlpool last night, all the way back to Indy. They had him in the plane in the whirlpool.
Oh, but Russell Wilson. I still think that Russell Wilson is a very, very good quarterback. He sucked last night.
You're right.
He was just terrible. He was missing his receivers. When he did hit him, the receiver had to run and make a spectacular catch, and that wasn't very often. It was really a poor game.
Then the last play of the game in overtime, they went for the win, in overtime for a touchdown. And he threw to a guy that was really covered, and he got batted down. And a guy 15 feet away was wide open, and he didn't see him, And so, it's one thing to make good throws, but you got to have that vision too. And he just doesn't look like the same quarterback.
He doesn't really.
No, he hasn't all year yet.
I was just going to say, this isn't an aberration for this year. He's looked bad this year.
Yeah.
It's something, and I don't know what's going on. I really wonder about him. But he truly is out of sorts, and he's playing poorly.
He's playing poorly, and I don't think the Broncos are that bad a team as a whole. It's just that, Wilson's having some kind of problem.
Well, and they lost their running back, and
and
they're getting a little beat up, but jeepers, their defense did everything and more to win that game.
They really did. Yeah. Well, of course, the Colts were so bad. I mean, as bad as Denver was, the Colts were worse. I mean, they just really were. I mean, offense.
Did that offensive line remind you of anything?
Yes, it did. That's what I mean. Poor Matt Ryan. He just got pounded. He was able to make a couple of passes, but he was on the run and being chased. It was just ridiculous.
Well, there were times where they were on him about the same time he caught the snap from the center. I've never seen anything with.
I will give him credit, though. He kept hanging in there,
competing,
and for them to win that game, and for him to make the drives necessary just to kick the field goals.
Right.
It would have been real easy to get discouraged and say, heck with it.
He's 37 years old. He could say, I'm hanging this up. Yeah.
I was going to say, he's still a tough, that's late in life for a professional athlete when you're 37. But, that was one of the worst NFL football games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this might be the last year for football on Prime because the games haven't been good. Yeah,
I hope not. I mean, some people have had trouble with Prime. They say it breaks up.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a very sharp picture. And I don't have a brand new television. My television
it's the internet connection. That's the key.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. If you don't have good Wi-Fi, you got a problem.
I saw the guys stringing the fiber in the south end of town the other day by what used to be Eddie's Groceries. But I thought to myself,
oh, really? They're down there?
Yeah, I thought to myself, get the hell back to the north side of town. Right? Get right over here because
now you're starting another controversy, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, I can't wait for that happening anyway. But anyway, I will say I've had pretty good, and I got rid of Mediacom television quite a long time ago. And I just went to YouTube TV now.
Oh,
so
I'm on YouTube too. It's great.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
For the price, it's very good. It's way less than either DirecTV or Dish or any of those. And I get great service, so I'm okay. I also get HBO Max just for the movies, but that still has my cable bill about $70, $80. Or not my cable, my total TV bill at $75.
That's half of what mine is.
So what do you have?
I've got Dish.
You've got Dish.
Yeah.
And you pay $150, $50?
I'm paying $100, and I've got the sports package,
Yeah.
Paying $180 a month.
Oh.
My wife reminds me of that every week.
Yeah. I was on Dish for a long time. I was just reluctant to change, but I finally bit the bullet a couple of years ago. And you get everything you want with YouTube. It's cheaper.
Yeah, and I get the Prime football.
And you get used to figuring it out and navigating it. Dish is easier.
Yeah,
but
and with so I'm looking forward to Ford Dodge Fiber and the TV package that goes with it. I guess
You
it's
bet.
very reasonably priced. But anyway, big baseball news, of course, in the last week we had Aaron Judge hit 62, and even more importantly, Albert Pujols is now sitting at 702 home
Why do you
runs.
think that's more important?
I think that is significant. How many people have 700 home runs in a career?
Well, how many people
Four.
at 62 that
Four or
weren't on
five.
drugs? I'm sorry, performing enhancing drugs.
Yeah, That,
I would go with 62 ahead of Albert.
I don't know.
It's a great accomplishment. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but my Lord, Judge, 62 home runs. Wow.
Gosh, to look at him, I'm surprised he hasn't hit 100. You know,
Yeah.
just a big
He's-
chest and arms.
Do you know how much he weighs?
What,
How much do you think?
270,
Yeah.
80 in there
Yeah.
somewhere?
280 pounds.
Huge guy.
And he's just ripped.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's built much like you, Mike.
you know?
Good point.
Yeah.
I weigh about that much. I'm just
Yeah.
not quite as tall.
No,
No, I
but
don't weigh
you're
anything.
ripped. You
I don't
know,
wear-
you've told us one of these days if we get this
Yeah.
this camera working properly, we're going to get your shirt off and you're going to
No,
show America
no,
that
no,
ripped body.
No, I'm ready for a
And-
pose down with
and
either
cool.
you or both of you.
Oh no, you and Cooley.
Now you're just trying.
I
to
never
start
was in it.
Now you're trying to
I
start
never
some-
got in it.
Yeah, this is the guy when we were kids in school that always went, "Hey, why don't you and him fight? Hey, let's go down and watch them fight."
That's why he's an attorney
That's
now.
why
You're
he's an
right.
attorney.
Yeah.
There was always that guy in the neighborhood
Yeah.
starting something. Okay, you guys fight.
Well,
I'll represent you afterwards.
Yeah. and I'll talk about the fight and run down you both later on. Oh, anyway, this is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice for Dodge. Yeah, if you'd like to join the conversation, 515-955-1400. Yeah, we could. The last night's NFL game on Prime TV was so awful. I don't think there's anything else we really need to say about it. But Judge, terrific. I don't even know who the top pitcher is in Major League Baseball right now. Do you guys know? Neven, you're supposed to be
Ohtani for the American
Ohtani.
League.
Is he really?
I think so. I mean, he's in play for the most valuable player. So yeah, he's been terrific. And I'm not an American League guy, but it's hard to overlook him.
That'd be a good question. Is Ohtani the MLB most valuable player, or is Judge? Judge.
That has been the question.
Judge is such he has an attractive personality and a great story, and he's such a, on camera he's so natural and so genuine that you just like him.
Mhm.
Ohtani, he doesn't have that skill, but the way he plays on both sides of the.
He's a freak.
Yes, he is.
He's a mythical god or something. I don't know. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Speaking of miracles, the Cubs have won about 8 straight now to finish out the
10
season.
out of 12.
10 out of 12.
Yeah.
That's
Laid
not bad.
15 on the Reds for the last game of the year. Look out. Next year's our year, Mike.
Yeah.
Gee, I've never heard that before
I've
from a
never-
Cub fan.
No, this
No,
we're,
no.
yeah, we're-
Said it so many years that actually happened once. I couldn't fathom
if
it.
we
for
could
months.
play the Reds and the Pirates
We'd be-
all year,
We'd be
we got a shot for the playoffs.
We'd be a great team. What really surprised me is that the Atlanta Braves finished first in their division. I thought the Mets were going to take it,
Yep.
but the Braves came roaring back. They got a little St. Louis Cardinals in them because the Cardinals are famous for that, staying in the middle of their
The
division.
Braves are playing as well as anybody in the National
They
League right
really
now.
are.
They really are. Last weekend they went in, I think it was in New York. But anyway, they swept the Mets.
Yeah,
3
they did.
games.
Oh, they
And the
did
Mets
sweep
were
them?
throwing
Wow.
DeGrom and Scherzer.
That's
right?
what killed me.
Yeah.
They had DeGrom on the mound. They beat DeGrom
Both
all over the place.
they had their 3 best pitchers and they beat them. They're playing very well, and they're going to be a handful. The Braves are.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the National League has got great teams. The Astros. I'm not a big Astros fan, but the times I've seen them play, they're tough.
I like the Astros in the
What's that?
American League.
What's that? Well, okay, all right.
But I mean, I don't sleep on the Astros,
Yeah,
and they are a little bit under the radar. And I'm saying, look out.
yeah, they could be. If
Yeah.
a team could beat the Yankees, it would be the Astros.
Oh, I like the Astros definitely over the Yanks.
Do
Yanks
you
are
really?
well, they're beat up. Their bullpen is all beat up. They've got they're really hurting on the back end of their pitching. And frankly, Judge has kind of carried these guys down the stretch. They've got a couple other everyday players that are hurt. They've got a nice starting rotation. They got 3 guys that are all business.
Mm-hmm.
But I worry about their bullpen and their everyday lineup. It gets a little lean after the first 3 or 4 batters. So, and they haven't played well down the stretch because of that.
Well, who's the best team in Major League Baseball, do you think? Dodgers?
Well, we said that a couple weeks ago.
They've got the best record.
But here's what I'm going to tell you about the Dodgers. I don't like the back end of their staff either. That bullpen's in disarray. They've got some issues there. That if they have vulnerability, it's with the bullpen. And again, the Dodgers, you look at the first 3 batters in that line, great. But then, you know what? It gets pretty ordinary after that.
Okay. Well, who has a strong bullpen? It's a good thing that we're talking about this because I've seen some Major League Baseball this year. Always, every summer I do. I haven't seen a great performance from the bullpen.
You know what?
Team.
I'll tell you, I like is Atlanta's bullpen.
You like Atlanta?
Yeah, their bullpen. Yes. Who's got a great one? They've been pretty good here mid-season on, or at least late season. They got some guys back. They have a good pen. I like Atlanta.
Well, you like their
I like their team.
Okay.
Where they're at right now.
All right.
Okay. So.
All right. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I had to hit the mute button there. I'm sorry. Anyway, Aroldis Chapman. People are saying he's done now. You know, he's been a tough reliever for a number of years now. I don't know how old he is, but they're saying that he's done with the Yankees, maybe done with baseball. He just doesn't have it anymore, which I remember in the year he was with the Cubs. God, I mean, he performed very well. He was just an imposing presence on the mound. He really was. Big, broad-shouldered guy. Big.
He may have got us that World Series.
He may have.
You know, I mean, we needed that, and we traded. Do you know who we traded for him?
I don't remember.
Torres for the Yankees. That was one of the guys we traded to get Chapman. We rented him for a year or half a year. Yeah, we gave up a lot for him.
Yeah, he grumbled he didn't like Chicago. Not big enough for him or something.
I don't know about that.
Seems to me I heard that somewhere. I don't know, but I when I was reading the other day a sports section, I noted that Chapman could be at the end of his career, and as just another. He was around so long and so good that I was just mildly surprised, I guess. But all good things must come to an end, and that includes. I don't think Pujols has got the 702. I don't think he can beat the creepy Bobby Bonds, which is too bad for the all-time record.
I don't think so either.
You know, but he could probably beat Ruth for third place. But he still says he's not coming back next year.
No.
And, he's had a great career, and good for him. Good for him. Now the Cardinals will probably really get deep into the.
They're pretty good.
Playoff picture.
They're playing pretty well too.
Well, Pujols is playing pretty good for a 42-year-old.
Well, he's had a nice year. I mean, he's hit in clutch situations, and he's won them some games, and he's hitting the long ball. Not hitting for average necessarily, but.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the Iowa Hawkeyes in the next segment. I'm going to bring them up now. They're terrible. They look terrible against Michigan. Of course, Michigan's a good team, but the Hawks just don't have it, you know. And it's really coming down to the coaching, guys. It's really coming down to the coaching. What other explanation is there?
Well, you know, I'm not giving up on the Hawks, but I mean, they're not. It's hard to win games, especially against good teams, if your offense is. Although our offense improved by 50% in the last week because we went from last in the FBS to second to last, so that's a 50% increase. So we're improving. According to Ferentz, we're getting better every day. So by the end of the season, we might be maybe fifth from the bottom instead of. But Yeah, it's interesting. You got all these programs that are firing their head coaches in the middle of the season.
They are. Paul Chryst, that was a real surprise.
Oh, a huge
They
surprise.
got rid of him in Wisconsin.
I mean, his record there is like 69-25 or something.
Yeah,
27.
it was.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah, a solid record.
Yeah, great record, and he has a couple down years, and boom, they don't even wait for the end of the year. They can him in
No.
the middle of the year.
And he grew up in Madison.
Yeah.
That's his hometown.
It's-
They fired Scott Frost. That wasn't a real surprise, but it cost them $7.5 million to fire him as early as they did.
yeah,
They
15 million altogether.
Just get him out of here. I mean, just get him out.
Well,
That's something we don't do in Iowa.
Do you know what it would cost Iowa if they happened to, and which they won't do, of course, and I'm not advocating this, but if they were to fire Kirk Ferentz at the end of this season,
Right.
the buyout is $42 million.
God.
$42 million.
The man is 65 years old.
I mean, what athletic director negotiates a contract like that?
A damn fool. Yeah.
My gosh. I mean, and I'm a Kirk Ferentz guy, but for heaven's sakes,
Yeah, well.
I mean, Kirk Ferentz can just laugh and flip the bird, and anybody says you need to get rid of your son, he can just laugh because what are you going to do? Pay me $42 million?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
Yeah,
he's
but-
never going to get rid of Brian. Never.
I don't know if he will or not, but nobody likes losing,
No, that's
including
right.
Kirk Ferentz.
Right.
There's nothing fun about that, and there's nothing fun about being criticized or ridiculed about your offense.
Nope.
I mean, it'll, he's even catching it, and you talked about it at lunch today from the Register. He's starting to get some pushback about, I think, very subtly about Brian Ferentz and the offense, and it's interesting. He is a stubborn dude.
Whoa,
You can call it loyalty, and there's nothing wrong with being loyal.
No.
But at a point in time, there's nothing wrong with trotting out your second team quarterback and seeing what he's got in the tank.
right.
And this is a guy that's won you 3 games last year, or
Yeah.
5 games, or whatever. I mean, this guy, he made the call. He showed up when they needed him.
Yeah, and he could have easily left and transferred somewhere else, Padilla, and he showed his loyalty. He said, "No, I'm coming back to compete for this position." He can't even get on the field. As bad as the quarterback play has been, that's just unbelievable.
You can't make an excuse for that.
I feel bad for Petrus
I
because
do too.
he's a good young man. He's a
Yes.
quality kid and all that. But my gosh, at some point in time, it's about winning football games. And when you're missing wide open receivers, when I say missing them, I mean he's not even seeing them. He's throwing to people in double coverage
That's
when
right.
somebody else is open. I mean, there's all those factors, and it'd be interesting to see what would happen to the Hawkeye offense if you just made that change, and so I think that's what people, and that's where the rubber's going to hit the road at the end of the season. If our offense stays as bad as it will be, and it probably will, how do you deal with that? Because people will stop. I mean, this year they sold everything out before the season because the hype was we're going to be good. We're going to have a much better offense than we've had in the last few years. And it's been just the opposite. And then with people clamoring for Brian to be fired, if that doesn't happen, people are going to say, the heck with that. I'm not buying tickets. And I mean, it's just, I hate to see that happen because
if Illinois blows out the Hawks this weekend, there's going to be trouble in the fan base, And Ferentz is just stubborn enough to knuckle down and hunker down and say, we're going to weather the storm as we're going to, as he always does. Well, this is an opportunity for us to improve. Okay, you have your opportunity now. Please approve. Anyway,
Iowa fans are incredibly loyal.
Oh,
they are.
I don't know if they're going to quit buying tickets, and there may be a teeny bit of a drop off, but boy, that's a They know what
Well,
type of offense they're going to
And
run
Bielema
and how to
certainly
defend
knows.
it.
Bielema
Well,
certainly knows.
yeah. So it's an old style scheme, and we don't do anything to keep the linebackers and the safeties off balance. We snap the ball in 1 second. Those safeties know, are we passing or are we running? Because we don't do any read option. We don't do anything, any misdirection. Everything is, we're going to turn the hand it off deep in the backfield, or we're going to start backing up and throwing the pass. And so the linebackers, the reads are very, very easy for them. And sometimes they hand the ball off and the safety's at the line of scrimmage by the time our back gets there, So I agree with you, Nevin. It's an offense it's an old style offense. And in order to make it work, you've got to be better than your opponent. And if you're not better, you're in trouble.
Well, and you're not going to overwhelm them. You're just going to have to grind it out type of thing.
Yeah.
And look at Iowa State. They run a ton of different formations and motion. And last weekend,
they threw it about 40 times last week. My gosh.
But
they targeted Xavier Hutchinson 19 times.
I would throw it to him 30.
Yeah.
That guy is really good.
He is good.
The way. He made some catches last weekend that were just terrific.
And speaking of that, we got that's a really good game coming up Saturday night at Jack Trice Stadium with Kansas State, because Kansas State's coming in. They're 4-1. They trounced Oklahoma. They are just playing extremely well and very well coached. And Iowa State, it'll be a good game. I think it's gonna be a real nail biter. Whoever has the ball last wins that one, because it's hopefully Iowa State can get their special teams together and not make a bunch of mistakes like they did last week.
And I was impressed with Iowa State's defense, especially in the second half last week. And Kansas and K-State are similar in that they rely on their quarterbacks, and they rely on their quarterbacks to run the ball. You have to contain them. And I thought Iowa State last weekend with Daniels did an outstanding job in the second half in particular. And if they can contain Martinez and take away the run, the quarterback run, and then deal with Deuce Vaughn, I think they've got a great chance. And frankly, I kind of like the Cyclones this weekend.
Yeah.
You like the Clones this weekend?
Yeah.
I hope so.
They should have won last week.
I really think they should.
I hate to say that because I'm a Kansas
fan. One field goal,
but they really should have won last weekend. They were the
and I'm going to talk to you guys about this again. To complain about the officiating is just making excuses if you lost. But I don't understand these new rules. Iowa State got called pretty harshly for just one example. There was a block made.
That was 2 weeks ago.
There was a block made
in the Baylor game.
And and there was a block made, and the offensive lineman for Iowa, his head went behind the defender. Okay, so he threw his shoulder into this guy, close to the guy's head.
You're talking about the Iowa-Michigan game now.
No, I'm not. Am I talking about Iowa?
Yeah, and you're talking about the block at the line of scrimmage. His head was in front, and they called it a chop block, and it wasn't.
I didn't think it was at all.
No, it was a bad call. I agree.
But there was a couple. Well, Campbell went off for some reason. It was
similar. They called
a defensive
back for a chop block on a pulling guard. Yeah. And it was anything but that. It was textbook. He came up, he met him, he took him out of the play about waist high.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have lost my mind too. Campbell was right on.
The officials are getting too involved in the game. And I realize there's a push on now to defend the athletes, or protect the athletes, I should say, because of it's a tough game. And my God, I understand that. I support that. But this is ridiculous.
There's nothing wrong necessarily with the rule. It's the implementation of the rule. Here's the problem, as I see it. We're having a lot of new officials that don't have a lot of experience in the Big Ten and the Big 12, from as near as I can tell, making bad decisions on calls.
Yeah,
they are making. There's some bad calls out there, and not just. And I tune in every now and then to other NCAA games. They do it in other games too. They're driving the head coaches of these major programs right up a wall. I'll tell you.
Yeah, although I'll be honest with you, I just think everybody in the Big Ten, especially in Iowa, feels like the Big Ten has the worst officials in college football. A lot of Big 12 fans feel the same way about the Big 12.
They're both right, by the way.
But I can tell you, I know one thing Iowa and Iowa State fans can all agree on: the last two games, in the last 2 weeks, both teams have been kind of screwed by the officials.
Well, I thought in the Baylor game, Iowa State didn't get any calls.
Yeah.
Iowa did not get any calls in the Michigan game,
yeah.
and these calls were going against some bad calls. Now, I thought in the KU game, honestly, I thought Iowa State was the beneficiary of, the officiating. I'm not saying there were any
Iowa
horrible
State
calls.
was the beneficiary?
Yeah, in the Kansas game.
Yeah.
They were. They had some good calls.
Spoken by a true Kansas fan,
I was
right?
gonna say, what
We won.
comes in here wearing
We won.
comes in wearing his Creighton jacket.
Yeah.
Well, we're only 30 days away from the real sport, fellas.
God,
It's
30 days,
not
and we
pill
start
bouncing.
rolling.
Save us from pill bouncing, please.
Yeah.
What are they doing in the NBA? Are these preseason games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I don't pay much attention to the NBA at all.
Well, we were talking today, Randy and I. You want to
Yeah.
watch somebody sometime? Zion Williamson's back.
Mm.
He's unbelievable from what I've seen of him so far. Would you agree, Randy?
Yeah.
I think-
Athletically.
Well,
he's
I
unbelievable.
just like to point out that I picked him as the greatest player ever, right?
Did you?
Did you?
Yes. Rob Jones came in here and said, not quite yet.
Well,
Well, I don't think he's better than
tell
Michael
you-
Jordan, but
no, not at all.
or
But
LeBron
I'm
James.
telling you,
Jordan's
this
fit.
guy is
Jordan's almost 60. Of course he's better. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
this guy's got a lot of talent.
He does.
I don't know if he'll stay healthy, but my Lord, he is impressive. What an athlete. Maybe one of the Jordan was a great athlete. Zion Williamson is a great athlete.
Yes, he is.
Oh my Lord.
But he's a freak because
is.
he's 6'6" and he weighs 280 pounds.
Oh, easy.
But he plays like he weighs 200 pounds. It's unbelievable
And
how he
a
moves.
very strong young man.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong. He bowls his way through. And he does it seemingly with a great amount of joy.
But-
I'm having a great time out here.
Well,
I'm going to knock all
If
you
I
guys.
could bully everybody, I'd be laughing
Yeah.
too.
You see him drive to the basket, the players almost get out of his way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not somebody you want to collide with.
No,
Yeah.
that's for sure. We should talk about Fort Dodge St. Edmund football a little bit. Both teams are struggling a little bit. I went out to see St. Edmund.
They're
Or
doing
the home guy.
okay. They're having
Good.
they beat Garrigan last week. That was a pick'em game. That was a big win for them.
Yeah.
That could have went either way, and that was a good win. Those were two evenly matched
Yep.
teams. They go up to North Iowa or
Yep.
at Kenseth. This is a game they should win. So they'll be what 4-3 or so.
They've got a shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what Hank Ambrose. He was in here a little earlier. He took Rob Jones' job as sports director, and he said, "Yeah, they do have the St. Edmund kids do have a shot." And I was there at the game, and yeah, they beat Garrigan in every facet of the game. Garrigan is not what it used to be, obviously, but and I can't get used to that short field. There was a couple of times the officials waved a guy out of bounds. And I thought, my God, you got 10 yards
Yeah.
yet before you get to the
It's a
sideline.
narrower field. Yeah.
But it's a much narrower field.
Yeah.
But St. Edmund has a real small player on their team, and I don't know who it is, but he's got guts. I'll tell you, he's got guts. He's in there swinging with the best of them.
Well, and then the Dodgers play Storm Lake tonight
Storm
for their
Lake.
homecoming game.
Yeah, they're home.
Storm Lake is 0-6, so that's I think the Dodgers they're not going to have any trouble with Storm Lake tonight. But
I don't know what the Dodgers' problem has been. Hank said it's because they're, the Ames is a really good team, and the Spencer Tigers turned out to be really good. But Fort Dodge has a great quarterback. That Carver kid is got a
They
sling.
can't stop anybody.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Dude,
no, they're
it's
scoring. They're
scoring
going
like
up and down
crazy
the
on the
field, and it's just basic running the ball. Now,
yeah,
Webster City runs the ball very well. Spencer apparently
yeah.
also does. Both these, but yeah, it's that's what it is. It's on the defensive end as much as anywhere.
Yeah, that's Hank was Hank was at the game. Of course, he called the Spencer Tigers game, and apparently Spencer is pretty well thought of in the state. I don't know where they're rated. I don't pay much attention to a team 100 miles to the north and west of us, But I did listen to the game, most of it on the radio, and yeah, the Tigers just put a thumping on them.
But I think Dodgers can get things going here.
yeah.
They'll
I think
get Storm Lake,
Yeah.
and and then I'm not sure how the season finishes out. You got their schedule?
I don't either. I think the toughest
no.
games are behind them, though.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a chance to finish strong, hopefully, and both teams do. So hopefully both the Gales and the Dodgers can finish strong and feel good about how they finished up their season.
What's a toreador anyway? Is that one of the people who are in the bull ring, in a bullfight?
Yeah.
The
Bullfighter.
It's like a matador, same thing.
I think so, but
You know what? Maybe
what's
the
their
toreador.
nickname?
The toreador is something.
Maybe
That's
he's
a
the guy that
turtle, isn't it,
rides
or something?
No, I don't think so.
rides on the horse and
Yeah, the toreador is something different. I think
Okay.
they work with picks. Yeah, they do. I mean, big sticking picks that they shove
that's
in the
what
poor
I
bull.
thought. That's what I
You
meant.
know,
yeah.
the matador is one
I-
thing. He's got the cape out. And he's
Right.
doing all these
Okay.
hot dog moves,
Right.
and the girls are going wild. But if he gets in trouble, here come the toreadors. You know,
Oh,
get
okay.
off him, bull. You know, and they're sticking him and all this. Sort of
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I
the
learned
poor-
something today. Thanks for
the
that.
poor bull.
I
is
tell you
just-
what, he
I've never seen
continues to enlighten us.
That's no
That's right.
kidding.
If he's right, we
Yeah.
don't know.
No, no.
We'll have to fact check him. We'll have to
Yeah.
fact check him.
I think that's a poor Pinocchio job
No,
there.
no.
That's what I love about Mike. He sells. He always
Yeah.
sells it.
I can sell
Most
it,
of the
man.
time, we know the right answer, and they go,
Yeah.
"No, that isn't right."
Yeah, no, I sold cars for 9 years. I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
My dad was a car salesman. People used to say to my dad, "Boy, that guy can talk to anybody and sell them anything," and he could too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, church groups, veterans groups were a big deal back when our parents were young. The veterans groups, especially, and they always needed a master of ceremonies, and they always called my dad. No matter
Boy.
what veterans group or whether he's a member of it or not, they called him. Come on, we need you. We got to get you in there. So, yeah, it must have run.
Well,
He
the
was
apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's
then,
right.
Because
I
you
suppose.
too have that
That's right.
gift of gab.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He could talk to a person all day, and he just met him 5 minutes before. Anyway, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Yeah, we want to wish the absolute best to the Gales tonight, and of course the Dodgers at their homecoming. Yeah, it would be. I didn't know the Toreadors were 0-6, but I'm glad to hear it. I guess it would be.
No, it's not. Is that their nickname, Toradors?
I don't know. That's
Storm
what he
Lake?
said.
We're going to run out of time.
All right, don't get hung
Well,
up
let's
on
make
that.
our picks. I'm
Let's-
picking the Cyclones, and unfortunately, I'm going to pick Illinois, hoping the Hawks can beat them. But
I got to pick Illinois as far as the Hawks are concerned. I haven't seen that much from the Hawks, and even though Illinois did get beat by Indiana, they had a hell of a game against Wisconsin, and I think Bielema knows Ferentz. He knows Ferentz is old school, and he's just going to be, you know,
I'm with both of you.
yeah.
all
Nope,
right.
I like Iowa State, and I like Illinois.
According to
Unfortunately.
I'm reading Eric Pratt's pregame here, and he says they're called the Tornadoes.
That's what I thought.
Tornadoes.
Yeah,
that's
and that's
what
one of those things that goes like
Yeah,
this
I know.
in there.
But
Okay.
Hank Ambrose was in here a little bit earlier and told me it was the Toreador.
Oh, you get again. Well, there
There you go.
Nice fact check, Randy.
Well, that's a stupid name for a team. They should
Folks,
change it
we
to
will
Toreador.
continue
honest
to
with
be
you.
here with Mike fact checking him.
I think Hank is right.
You
I,
think,
I don't think they are the Tornadoes.
I don't think they're the Tornadoes.
I think they are the Tornadoes.
I've never heard of a team named the Tornadoes in my life.
Well, the Cyclones, same thing, right?